This is Las Vegas Real Estate Now with local real estate expert Harvey Blankfeld.
Where we want to educate you about our market, empower you to make wise decisions, and help you engage with our expert contributors.
I really want to start with the idea of multiple offers. Now, we talked a little bit about this before, but it's so prevalent and so important right now. I think it's important for our listeners to understand the nature of this market right now. There's very little inventory out there. Now, last month, for the first time in many, many months, we did see the inventory creep up a tiny bit, but I don't know that that's a trend or not. We won't know. But right now, for the time being, we do have very, very little available for buyers to purchase. So when that's the case and you still have a lot of demand, you're ending up with multiple offers. But I want to start off talking about sellers, because as a listing agent, both you and I deal with this as listing agents and our sellers. When you get multiple offers, how do you present that to your seller? What is your discussion with your seller when you get multiple offers? How do you deal with that?
Well, I tell them they can have, several choices. So you could either choose an offer and work with them. You can ask for highest and best or highest and final. In this market, asking for highest and final is probably a good idea.
Yeah. A lot of buyers are going over list and they're waiving appraisal or some number over appraisal. Yep. And then you can also do a multiple counter.
You can do a multiple counter.
Multiple counter, for those of you who don't know, what happens there is that you're basically countering several offers simultaneously. But when you do that, you're sending them a note as part of that counter offer that you have to cross-sign it again to accept the offer. In other words, several buyers could agree to those terms on a multiple counter, and so you can't sell it to both of them. You're going to have to cross-sign and agree which one you want to go with after the multiple offer comes back. Now, if you were the listing agent and you sent me multiple counter offers and I got one, let's say you're listing, I'm representing a buyer and I'm one of the buyers who got a multiple counter from you. My advice to my buyer at that moment is to counter back. And you can do this as a buyer. If you really want the home and you see, well, gee, now I know I'm in the running. Now I know I'm at least getting a counter, but it's not definitely me yet. There's someone else who has a counter too. I'm going to counter back and sweeten it a little bit. I'm going to give the seller just a little bit extra. Just one more thing. An extra $2,000, a credit towards closing costs, free time in the home, something to give the seller the idea that, boy, I really want this. Thanks for coming back to me. Here's my last pitch to give you something above and beyond that. Let's talk about money for a second. If offer A, your listing is at $200,000. Offer A just wrote an offer for $250,000, and they're putting 10% down. Offer B offered you $225,000, and they're putting 10% down, but they're going to waive appraisal. What's your advice to your seller on those two? And we have to think through this. You and I are going to work. This is real time. This is real time thinking on the part of Danielle and I. How would you deal with those two offers?
The appraisal is a what if, right?
It is.
And they'll contribute if it's short. But what I'm learning is maybe the appraisers don't want to see that verbiage in the contract, because if everybody knows up front that it's not going to appraise and there's verbiage in there. So the offer over the weekend was like, remove that. But they were willing to pay $5,000 over appraised value. Mm-hmm. But we also offered to pay $5,000 towards the seller's costs.
There you go.
And that's what got our offer.
That's really creative, and that's very, very powerful. Because
there were higher offers though, but ours was better. So it's not always the highest offer.
Right.
It's the best offer, the most amount of money in the seller's pocket.
That's the thing. The $5,000 towards the seller cost saves the seller a lot of money, more than just the $5,000, because it also brings down all those prorations for taxes and everything else. It brings all that stuff down, all the calculations that are being used to calculate the transfer tax, the escrow fees, the commissions for that matter. You're not building them into the price. Now you're just giving the seller some money towards their costs.
Credit. They could use it how they see fit.
You've been listening to Las Vegas Real Estate Now. If you ever have a question about real estate or any of the other topics we cover, just call me off air or text me at 702-203-1165. You can also check us out on the web at lvrealestateradio.com or on our handle on social media at LV Real Estate Radio. We'll meet you on the radio next Saturday at 11 a.m. right here on the new 101.5 FM, 720 a.m. KDWN, the Talk of Las Vegas.